Howdy and hello, I'm OhDough. Hope you're doing good. We have two primary weapon tier lists. The first one is to the Copium Dependence. Every gun's S tier, they're fantastic, no buffs needed. They're good if you're good. Am I right, fellas? Oh, for sure, 100%, bud. Then we have the more realistic tier list, which is my opinion, to be clear. And it goes like this. S tier, A tier, B, C, F, Davy Jones gun locker. That bottom tier is for guns that are probably in a war bond that I don't recommend using. Although the war bonds that may have them might still be worth it. A whole different video was made on that before. Now, starting off, the assault rifles. F tier, Davy Jones locker, C tier, Davy Jones locker. Adjudicator has 80 damage, medium pen, 25 rounds per magazine, but it doesn't feel good to shoot, and the damage being that low, even with medium pen, is not a good thing. Assault rifles as a whole category have low damage, low magazine count for what you're facing, and they don't feel good to shoot. Most of them don't even sound good to shoot, which is subjective for sure. I don't recommend using these at all. They are just better weapons entirely in other categories to be using over assault rifles at basically every turn. And the Liberator and Liberator Penetrator are just bad guns. I feel that Liberator is the go-to weapon of balance for some reason for primary weapons. Moving on, we have Marksman Rifles. These are going to be C tier. I think it's a good spot for them. Wait. The Diligence Sniper is F tier because the damage can't even one-shot a Devastator because for some reason it does 125 damage, but every gun apparently loses 1 damage the moment it's shot. So this does not one-shot Devastators, which have 125 damage to their face, and that makes no sense. The Diligence Counter Sniper can one-shot them, so I'll put it in C tier. Yep. I'm gonna keep that for sure. I'm a large fan of marksman rifles in video games and real life, but Helldivers 2 does not do them justice. They don't sound good to shoot. They don't do much damage when you shoot them. The scopes are not good. Nothing about them is redeemable unless you're a LARPer and like to stealth, in which case maybe you have a reason to rock this, but why not just use the AMR's got a really loud profile at WY. I'm rocking the AMR. It's more fun to shoot, sounds cooler, does more damage. Everything about it just feels better. I don't see the point of marksman rifles existing at the moment. Give me a musket, bolt action, does big damage. I'm there. Make it do a bit more damage than the Jar 5, and we're cooking with Crisco. Medium pin. Boom. Freaking having a blast. That'd be me. Punisher is... Punisher is decent at lower levels, stunning anything that's not an elite or a heavy, and if you can hit a non-armored part, which is huge. Devastators hit their legs, stunned. If they're far away, though, you don't do much damage effectively. It takes you many shots to kill them. When they get close, the damage ramps up exponentially. And Berserkers are always pressing W, and they get stunned and catch the smoke. They die really quickly. So it's not a bad gun, just it falls off the moment a bunch of enemies are on your screen, which will happen the second you go to higher difficulties. Slugger with stun is B tier, but Slugger ain't got no stun no more, making it worse than the Punisher. You have less damage, more of the third-person vertical sway, which is bad. It means you're less accurate, and you can't stun things. The only thing you have that would be better than the Punisher is a slug projectile, which can be good and can be bad. That means you have more range, effectively. But that range don't really matter when it's kind of hard to hit shots in the first place, and you don't have scopes, you can't hit them that far away, and when they get close to you, you can't stun them. So the Slugger can't slug, and therefore it is worse than the Punisher. We have explosive weaponry. Jar 5, S tier. This is the single best gun against the automatons. There is no debate to be had. You may not like the way it handles, that's fine. Does not take away from it being the single best weapon. You can kill factory striders, the big old dudes, in a mag and in almost 2 mags. Almost 2 full mags, and you can kill a factory strider from full HP to none. That's crazy. You got medium pin, explosive damage. Damage is high. You can one-tap Devastators. You can murk freaking Berserkers as well, and you're stunning these mobs the entire time. It stuns Hulks too, but that's actually a bad thing because it makes it hard to like follow up shots the whole time. Still good though. It's good, but it's weird in the Hulk aspect, and it's helpful for taking out tanks and a whole bunch of stuff. Then we have the explosive crossbow. This is in Davy Jones gun locker. Some folks might like it for stealth gameplay. Cool, I guess. I don't like LARPing that much. Not for me. This thing got nerfed. They reduced the explosion damage, explosion radius. The Eruptor. Also the same thing. I never liked this gun. Just didn't like it. And the fact you could one-shot chargers was an exploit, and folks not wanting to admit that is hilarious. That was never intended. Why would that be a thing? Sure, it's kind of how shrapnel works in a sense, but one-shotting chargers makes no sense. But Eruptor now does not feel good to shoot. You're better off using a Jar 5. Jar 5, you get 3 times the ammo capacity, a faster fire rate, and a faster reload potentially. So just use Jar 5 over Eruptor, given the current state it's in. Although Eruptor should be improved in the future and be good again. But right now, it's in the jiggle. David Jones gun locker. The Breaker. At one point in time, revered as the best gun in the game for some reason because folks didn't have any guns unlocked, and that was just what folks believed. I'm going to go ahead and say this gun is in the young C tier. I'm going C tier. Given the current state of the game with more patrols than ever, which will get reduced in the future here, I wouldn't want to run this gun. You get 13 shots, and I wouldn't use it against the bots, first of all. Against the bugs, you don't have medium pin. You're going to be sitting there for a long time trying to kill hive guards and whatnot, which there might be a lot of, and there's no real use case for it. If you're facing a bunch of hunters, 13 shots isn't going to go that far. Breaker, spray, and pray. This is above the Breaker for me. This is a solid B tier, especially versus bugs. If you don't have anything else that's going to be higher but unlocked, not a bad option against the bugs. The Breaker Incendiary, S tier against the bugs. There's no questions to be asked whatsoever. This thing is so freaking good to use. It feels great. It'll probably get nerfed to the ground, and then no one's going to use it ever again, which is super unfortunate. It's the way this game goes at the moment. But man, oh man, you shoot a bug, a hunter, chances are it's going to die. Not as consistent now, because hunters have more HP than Devastators for some reason, which is weird. And they change fire damage, which is a good thing, but it makes Incendiary Breaker a little less consistent. Still a phenomenal gun. You get so much damage. Look at this. 240 damage. 25 round capacity, it lights things on fire, and you have light armor pen, which is not nuts, but that's a good freaking gun. So fun to use, because it's useful. Guns that are fun are the ones that are useful, and this one is insane. Now we're on to the energy weapons. This is going to be the Scythe. The Scythe. It's got a bit more damage now, just nothing to really write home about. And I'm not a big fan of the way that beam weapons work currently. So I'm putting this in C tier. This is very subjective. I haven't used it too much, but I do use it. It heats up pretty quick. And I just don't love the way the beam weapons function. I don't think you get enough time to shoot them until they overheat for beam weapons. Now the Scythe is a part of a war bond, and I think that's another B tier option. This is not terrible versus the bots. I wouldn't recommend it per se. But if you had decent aim, it can be very useful because it's very accurate. You can fire 99 shots before it overheats at 100. If you stop firing at 99 or close to 99, you then can have infinite shooting. So it's kind of like a beam gun, but here you just get more instantaneous damage to be applied. There's a slight wind up to shoot it. I just find this gun really fun to use. When it first dropped, I was having a blast playing this weapon. It just feels good to shoot. And the recoil isn't crazy, so it makes shooting through the scope not a bad thing. I don't mind being first person with this weapon, which is a plus. This is far better than every single assault rifle in the game, and its damage is 55. So it competes with assault rifles in most regards. The Scorcher it's hovering between A tier and B tier for me. At one point, it was really, really good, and apparently it got a stealth nerf of some kind. Something changed somehow, some way. And they also made it so Striders... I'm putting it B tier now. Before, it was a solid A tier. At one point, S tier, because I didn't know how good the Jar 5 was, or Jar 5 got buffed somehow. But Scorcher now takes more shots to kill a bot of the scout variety. The small walker guys, 2 feet, big metal chassis. Those guys, before it could 2-shot them very easily. Now it's around 3, sometimes 4 if you miss a little bit. Then we got the Arc Blitzer. You can stun things, but the targeting is still kind of jank. You'll hit dead bodies a lot. You'll hit grass a lot. If something's too close to you, it won't hurt them at all. Even though it's a shotgun that doesn't have that much range to begin with. It's got decent range, truth be told. They gave it faster fire rate recently, which is nice. I think it needs more, or we need a stratagem. We need something to let us dual wield weapons, primaries and secondaries, potentially stratagems, imagine that. And then all of a sudden, it's nuts and really fun to shoot. Oh, if they did that, everyone would one trick Incendiary Breaker and just break the game. So maybe we can't have that be a thing, but maybe for specific weapons it would be fine. Arc Blitzer's nice. Folks like it with the recent changes and whatnot. The Plasma Punisher. I know the name's by heart, by the way. It's kind of unhealthy. This gun is probably... I'm gonna go C tier. It's fun to shoot. It's just not particularly good. It just doesn't do enough damage to kill Devastators in a meaningful fashion. You have Devastators pull up. You can headshot them, which is hard to land. If you're on controller, good luck, Chuck. And you're sitting there for a while trying to kill a medium mob. Weapons in this game are good when they can handle medium mobs well. I'm not expecting guns to be killing Bile Titans quickly or Chargers quickly. I expect them to kill medium, schmedium, and small mobs somewhat fast. And if they can't, chances are they won't be used the moment players realize what can kill those things fast. That is the whole purpose of a primary weapon, in my opinion, is to be good at killing medium, schmedium, and small mobs. Otherwise, what is the point in having a primary? You could maybe have primaries that are really cracked at killing bigger things, but have terrible odds at killing anything else. So just not useful at all. Eruptor could be a weapon like that. It's got nuts damage, can kill a charger quickly, but slow fire rate, not much ammo in the magazine, bad for basically everything else. That's a nice archetype path to go down in the future, because they don't have it dialed in right now. But that's the current philosophy that I have for primary weapons. Purifier is garbage. Oh my goodness. I'm putting it at the top of the list here. This thing was the biggest letdown of the century. Came out with the new War Bond, Polar Patriots. It got a charge up that feels awful to use, takes 1,000 years, and when you fire it, it does next to no meaningful damage. You can kill some things fast, sure, but you're better off using the majority of other weapons. Now, weapons above it, you're not really better off using, but it's a freaking War Bond weapon that I was hyped for that does not feel good to shoot at all. It is essentially a Plasma Punisher with a wind-up and medium armor pin that doesn't feel like medium. Why? Because of how explosion damage is calculated into the whole equation that I'm not too familiar with, because I don't care to look at data mine numbers, anything like that. But I tell you right now, it don't feel good to use one bit. And the charge up is disgusting. That thing, at one point in time, arc throw was fun to shoot, which is a whole different thing. And then they made it so it has a 1 second charge up time, which you can still kind of feather it and fire it faster, a little bit faster. But this thing just has that gross feeling, roughly 1 second wind up, and it's just not fun to shoot. It's not fun to shoot. Don't kill things fast. Why use it in the first place is my whole thing. So Davy Jones, Gunlocker, the Digital is where it goes. Finally, we're on the SMGs, the Simages. This is going to be the Defender. I got these names wrong last time. I tried to say that the Pummeler was like the Knight SMG. It's not. The Pummeler's like the Defender SMG. So Defender SMG is going to be in the young C tier again. No medium pin. It does decent damage. It's better than assault rifles, if you ask me. Which is hilarious. Wait, look at this. We have SMGs that I think are better than assault rifles for sure. 70 damage, 45 round capacity. Compare that to assault rifles, and you have 60-45, 45-30 with medium pin, 65-30, 60-35, 80-25. Adjudicator is the only thing that maybe compares. SMG. But hey, balanced philosophies, y'all, all right? Just trust the process. SMGs are weird because you can use them with the riot shield, and that makes sense to do so. But that's all you really have going for it, and the riot shield is nice, but we need to have SMGs that give medium pin or have explosive damage. I'm going C tier with this, and then I'll do y'all one better. I'll make some folks happy. We'll put the Pummeler SMG in B tier. How about that? And I'll put this above the Sickle. No, I won't do that. Pummeler is essentially the Pummeler is essentially the Defender SMG, but it has concussive. And it's only a weapon I would rock when using the ballistic shield and only against the bots in that aspect. I'm playing worse to bugs. If you want to do something different, maybe. But at this point, folks are trying really hard to play the game differently, and to do so, it means you're putting yourself at a detriment, which I find to be whack. Why is that the way we're playing the game right now? Whole different tangent, but that's what it feels like. And everyone's trying to say that the guns are good, they're fine. No, they're not. If you buff them, then they'll be fine and they'll be fun. Instead of forcing yourself to do variety that isn't exactly enjoyable, but it's different, so therefore you find it enjoyable. Why not find it fun because it is a different experience? It's also nice to experience. You know what I mean? That's just me, man. I'm one to try and experiment different things too. Trust me. That's why I played Dauntless for thousands of hours. Apex, thousands of hours. I like to do stuff differently, not to be different, but because it gives you that spice of life in gaming, which is variety. But in this case, everything honestly feels the same below a certain tier, and that is bad. That's not variety. It's just a different piece of garbage every day. That's just me, though. And the Night SMG, I've never really used it because it is a part of the paid DLC that I have. I just don't really... Here are the stats on the gun. This is an assault rifle, if you ask me. 50 damage, 50 capacity, light armor, but it fires super fast. I don't care. It doesn't do any damage. 50-50? Brother. So this is going to go in Davy Jones' gun locker as well. And I'll put it at the top because it's just a weapon that just doesn't feel good to use. So nothing was A tier, huh? Am I cool with that? I think I am. Scorcher would have been A tier. And that's where we're at. The level, I think this makes sense though. The difference between the Dominator and everything else is probably a full tier. Incendiary Breaker, same thing. These guns are that freaking good. If you're a dev, you didn't see this video. Don't nerf these guns. Maybe Incendiary Breaker a little bit, but consider not nerfing it until you buff stuff. If you nerf things in video games, especially in Helldivers 2, you have to buff stuff to give folks a reason to play the game, even with the nerf that just happened. And that doesn't happen in this game. What happens is a nerf occurs, and the weapons that folks are having fun using are no longer as good, and then buffs do happen, and they're so minuscule and minute that folks go, oh, well, these got buffed on paper, I guess, but when I play them, nothing really changed. Nothing feels different. You don't want that. You want to buff stuff so folks have a reason to log in that day, even with the nerfs, and they have a good time playing different stuff. I believe wholeheartedly that the current balance philosophy, especially around primary weapons, is atrocious. It's not good, leads to really boring gameplay all through and through, and leads to folks using the same guns over and over again. Instead of always nerfing things that are meta, aka just good and not garbage, why not buff the things that no one wants to use in the first place, or the things that folks are forced themselves to use, but they know it deep down in their hearts, maybe, they're not good. And they're only using them because it provides a semblance of variety that they're so desperately seeking. Get the people, the folks that keep making these decisions have had months to not make bad decisions, and they keep making bad decisions. I'm not saying you should fire them. Anyway, that's the video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you disagree, that's cool, but just understand why. And if you agree, awesome. I will probably make one for the support weapons, maybe, maybe not. And I plan to be playing Helldivers 1 and posting content on it. We'll see though. And I want to make a video for V-Rising because it's such a good game. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Peace.